The Cowboy and Indian Alliance, a lot of the folks that have been in this encampment, a lot of them are Lakota and Dakota people. Also, a lot of people from Nebraska and down to Texas, Kansas. But we want to acknowledge our relatives to the north. And I'm gonna invite my good friend Ariel to come on stage with some supporters. We know where, somebody may not know, but this pipeline, it comes from the tar sands, the most destructive development on the planet. And there are people that live in that area. They've lived there for thousands of years. And we stand in solidarity as brothers and sisters of the Oceti-Sakowin and the Dakota Lakota nations. We stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters up north who are on the front lines of the tar sands. Because what's happening to us is double, triple what's going on up there. And so we pray and we support our relatives. Ariel Deranger is a Dene activist, indigenous activist, and member of the Athabasca Chippewa First Nation of northern Alberta, Canada. And so, please give a round of applause for Ariel Deranger.
Thank you. Iglanete. My name is Ariel Ekwe Deranger, and my name means Thunder Woman. My mom always says she named me properly because I've used my voice and I've used my thunder. I want to thank everyone for coming out and supporting this really great initiative. Because I do it for the future generations. I do it for my children and the children of my brothers and sisters and the ones that stand behind me, Crystal Lehman from the Beaver Lake Cree Nation and my cousin Gitz Crazy Boy from the Athabasca Chippewa First Nation. Are from the front lines of the oil that's coming through these pipelines. We are the ones that are bearing some of the worst impacts of these projects that are out of control, and they are destroying the land, the culture, and the people that live beside these extraction zones. And enough is enough. See a gathering like this, the Cowboy Indian Alliance. It shows the strengths and the foundations of this country. When the European settlers came here, they made agreements with the First Nations and the Native Americans. These agreements were called treaties. We are all beneficiaries of these treaties, every single one of us standing here today. It's time for President Obama and Prime Minister Harper to start honoring the foundations of this country and honoring those treaties. Every landowner, every Native American, we have treaty rights, and it's time for us to assert them and take back our roles as caretakers and stewards of this land. We can no longer afford to be economic hostages in the race to industrialize Mother Earth for her resources. In northern Alberta, where our communities are from, our communities are seeing the poisoning of our water systems, the destructions of our landscapes and our traditional treaty territories. We are seeing the annihilation of our animals and our culture. We can no longer stand idly by and allow this to happen. My nation, the Athabasca Chippewa First Nation, is taking all means necessary to protect our treaty territory. We are suing Shell Oil. We are suing the federal government. And we will challenge any application that comes into our traditional territory. My sister, Crystal Lehman, her nation is taking the government to court for over 17,000 infractions of treaty rights in her territory. Obama needs to saying no because if this pipeline goes through, it spells the green light to go ahead to continue annihilating our people and our culture. We need to not just stop this pipeline, but every pipeline. We need to send a message that enough is enough, and we need to start taking care of Mother Earth and our people and the future generations. Masi Cho.
So this past week, we've been painting this beautiful teepee cover here. How's it look? All right. A part of this journey and a part of the organization of this event is that there were promises made. Obama made promises to the indigenous peoples of this land. And some of those tribes took him in and they actually acknowledged him and they gave him a name. He was given a Crow name. He was also given a Lakota name. His Lakota name is Oyate Owichakye Wichasha, the man who helps the people. And so this teepee, we're gonna take this teepee. This has been painted by all the different guests that have come in. It's designed by this man that's standing next to me. His name is Steve Tamayo, a wonderful Lakota artist. We're gonna bring this teepee and we're gonna give it to the Smithsonian, who's gonna take it. And the purpose of this teepee is to remind Obama that we gave you an Indian name. We took you in. Your name is He Who Helps the People, so help us. Remember your promises. Remember what you stand for. And we acknowledged you. You're one of us. Join us. So I'm going to ask Steve here to say a few words about the significance of this teepee lodge. So give a round of applause for Steve.
I am a member of the Sichangu Lakota people from Rosebud, South Dakota. My family comes from a little beautiful place called Milks Camp. And so this was a place where my mother was raised. And so I've been living my life in Omaha on the res, back and forth. And so what I do is I explain symbolism. When you travel anywhere in the four directions, symbolism exists everywhere, with every culture, every society. We have clans, we have tribes, we have all these different bands that exist throughout the world. It's just when the people made their ways to the United States, they forgot this relationship. And so this Tipestala, that's how we call it. It's a pointy dwelling in which we live in. That's what it translates into. That's what we call Tipestala. And so on this, I was, the teepee isn't perfect, but nothing's perfect. This is how life is. And so I had over 60 people painting on this teepee of all different races, of all different nationalities. And so it was a wonderful experience. So I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to Washington, D.C. to take part in this. There are four things that are truly sacred to indigenous people. It's the water, it's the land, because of the medicinal edible ingredients that are created by the Creator. And also, we acknowledge our Wakanyajas. This is the next generation. This is our little babies. I had Wizipan's son come up, and that's his nape, that's his hand, that's on these horses that you see behind me. And so I was waiting and waiting for a little Indian boy to come over. And so he appeared. And so it was a wonderful time because all the horses were painted. On this, I acknowledge the 13 moons. That's the scales that you see in this, or the turtle. And so this is the lunar cycle that exists. Within the lunar cycle throughout the year, we acknowledge the 28 days, but this is a cleansing for our women. And this is why I incorporated the turtle. It's the longevity of its life. It's a protector of the amulets that exist for our wiyans, our women. And so the last thing that we have that is truly sacred to us is our voice. It's our prayers. It's our songs. It's how we communicate with each other. And this is truly sacred. And so I hope President Obama hears our prayers. As you look up into the skies, you see Pleiades. It's the Big Dipper. It's in the formation that exists right now in this season because it's dumping the water back onto the earth. It's replenishing the earth. That's why this lodge was created in this manner. As you look in front of me, this is the door. It's painted red because the red to us can either give life or take life. And so the alliance that has been created is our Cowboys and Indians. It's everything that exists from the four-legged to the winged relatives, and this is the path that goes right down the middle of them. And so this is our lodge. I want to thank all the volunteers who helped me paint this. It was an amazing experience, and Pilami Apalo.
Thanks, Steve. And I also want to acknowledge, before the teepee was painted, we had it on a spiritual camp in Nebraska where the pipeline would be threatening. It's that same path is also on the Ponca Trail of Tears, where many Ponca lost their lives, including the White Buffalo Girl who was buried by her parents. Her parents, the agents kept on forcing the tribes to move forward, and so the farmers and ranchers of Neely, Nebraska created a memorial for the White Buffalo Girl, and this pipeline threatens that route where she died. In this teepee canvas, before it was painted, was on that route. And then again, when we did the largest crop art ever, I hope you saw it, of the Cowboy and Indian, this teepee was also brought out in the middle of a blizzard and was blessed with farmers, ranchers, and tribes from all along the route, making sure that President Obama felt our presence. And so I just wanted to make sure folks knew that part of the history. We have one more speaker, Dallas.
Thank you. There's a young man here. He's a young man. He's a musician. I don't know if some of you have heard of him. He's going to come over and share a few words. His name is Neil Young.
Thank you so much. We stand with you. We are with you. We're with the farmers. We're with the ranchers. We're with the Indians in the USA. We are with the First Nations people of Canada. We say, honor the treaties. Honor our agreements. Honor your word. Keep your word. My mother always said to me, keep your word and clean up your mess, Neil. So this is what we want the government of Canada to do. Keep your word. Don't let this happen. It's on First Nations land. They have the right to stop it. Let them speak. Don't bowl over them like they weren't there, because they are there, and they will be held to pay. There's an ancient story about a black snake that comes and threatens the First Nations people across North America, and this is it. It stretches from the tar sands of Alberta to the Gulf of Mexico, and it carries this poison that is going to do incredible damage to Mother Earth. 3 times as much CO2 in this oil as any other oil on the planet. It turns a Toyota Celica into a Chevy Suburban if you burn gasoline in that. That's what happens. And this is what's going down this pipeline. For who? For what? It's not for you. It's not for us. It goes to a tax-free zone in Texas so that it can be shipped to Asia or somewhere else in the world and used in automobiles to pollute. And we can't have any more pollution. We need the CO2 to stop. why I stand with my friends. They are the people of the earth. They are the caretakers of the earth. We love the earth. We don't want to see this happen. Our grandchildren will be trying so hard to dig themselves out of the hole that we're digging right now just to make a few bucks over the last few years of the fossil fuel age. We need to end the fossil fuel age and move into something better. So I say to President Obama, this is your defining moment in the history of the world. Make your statement, and make a statement that's good for all time. It's a change. The change is coming. Why not give it a push? Why not stand up and put America on the right side of history?
We're going to end our speeches up here with a man that comes from British Columbia. He's a relative of ours. Chief Reuben George comes from the people of the water. He's a Sundance chief and a member of the Tsleil-Waututh First Nation in northern Vancouver, BC. Their men are instructed to first take care of their women, then their children, family, community, and then themselves, while honoring their relationship with the Creator. Serving as Director of Community Development, he works with daycare and youth programs. He's going to render us our final prayer before we start our march. Please put a round of applause for Chief Reuben George.
ACM, Hajka, CM, Siaya, Chief Skalutstan, Snot to Tsleil-Waututh. Chief Yopunan, Snot to Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish. I acknowledge right now the space that we're in the traditional, and honor the traditional people of this territory. I honor the oneness of the spirit that we all belong to. And the word that I used was Natsamat, which means one heart and one mind and one prayer. I'm here today and I'm happy. I'm happy, and it makes me think of what's going on in Canada, where 170 nations signed the Fraser Declaration to oppose tar sand and fossil fuel and pipeline development in Alberta and British Columbia. I feel good today because I see, hear, and witness the birth of the new CIA, the Cowboy and Indian Alliance. Today, because I see the Salish people from Washington State and British Columbia that are going to soon come together and form a treaty. Like our relations right here, we're going to oppose fossil fuel development in our traditional territories. I know and I see firsthand the destruction that has caused. When my family did a vote, my community did a vote, we had some of the speakers come from the Alberta tar sands. And they explained that some of them are dying. An elder stood up and our elder said, that's reason enough for us to say no. Our Minister of Environment in Canada, when Kinder Morgan and Enbridge and Keystone are coming along, the First Nations, and offering millions of dollars. Millions of dollars they're offering. But we as Indigenous people know that you can't put a price on the sacred. The elder held up a dollar bill and he said, this will be gone tomorrow, and he held up some earth and he said, this is here forever. My mother stood up during that referendum and she said, not one seat's going to be sitting down when we vote no. All of you are going to stand up and you're going to vote no. And it was a 100% consensus that we would say no to this fossil fuel development. Message out to the American people. I want to remind you that this is a Canadian company that doesn't have a good track record of $2 million miles of pipeline throughout North America, 2.6 bills a day. They don't have a good record, and they don't pay compensation. 25 years later, Exxon Valdez is still in court trying not to pay compensation for the destruction that they caused. Too many reasons why to say no. Your government here has given $1 trillion in subsidies to fossil fuel companies. That should be directed to green energy. We do have the technology. We do have the technology to make a difference for our communities, to make a difference for our future generations. What we say at home, what we say is because Enbridge, Keystone, and Kinder Morgan, the owners of these pipelines, are too dysfunctional because of their greed, because they're not going to make a decision for their future generations. They're not going to look out for them because there's something that's disconnected to their own spirit of their own being of who they are. They're stuck. What they see is money. How they deal with one another is with greed. And it's opposite of what I'm taught here by my spiritual family. It's opposite of what I'm taught here by my brothers and my sisters and my aunties and my uncles. It's the opposite. And because they're suffering like that in their greed, because they don't know how to make a decision for themselves, you, me, and my family here, we will make a decision for their future generation. We will stand up and fight. We will stand up and do something. We will stand up and make sure it's good. All together we'll do it and make sure it's good. So my prayer here today, and whatever means possible, through the media, through the newspapers, through the internet, I ask you to send this message out to hundreds of people, because that propaganda, that bullshit that you see in the commercials, those lies that you see them showing that it's for jobs, when green energy jobs are 3 to 1 more. When they say it's for economy, that's a lie too. Look at the countries who have green energy initiatives. Their economies are taking off. It's all lies. So my prayer today is that our message will ripple out to the people. Each and every one of you be a mighty pond thrown into the ocean, and it will ripple out and it will touch the people. Because if we were the true owners of these pipelines, we wouldn't want to cause destruction and kill people and hurt our land. We would make decisions for our future generations, and I have faith in the Canadian and American citizens that when they see the true facts, they will want to make that decision for themselves, for their future generations. Once again, thank you for the organizers. Thank you for the traditional landowners of the land here, the indigenous people of the land. Once again, thank you, my spiritual family, my brothers, my sisters, and really thank you from the people from the Alberta tar sands, my relations, for coming up here and being a voice for us all and standing up. I thank you so much, and I love each and every one of you. Hoich Kasiyam.